Welcome to the Sports Card Talk Show. Sports Card Talk Show with Kevin Anderson and Lauren Walker, the Skull Brothers.
Welcome to episode 170 of the Sports Card Talk Show. Friday Night Light interview tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tonight we have Luke from cardczar joining us again.
Yes.
We had him on. Almost a year ago.
It's been a little while. Yeah.
Last spring, I think. So
yeah.
I'll add a link to that video to the description of the video. Maybe I'll throw a card up, and I'll add it to the end screen as well.
Yeah. So. Sounds good, man. Looking forward to it. We stay in contact on Instagram, but
yeah,
it'd be fun to have him on again and see what he's been up to.
Yep.
Yeah. Should we dial him up?
Ring-a-ling ding dong.
All right, we got Luke on the line. How you doing tonight, Luke?
Good. How you guys doing tonight?
Oh man, we're good. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
This has been in the making for a few weeks because I think it was probably a month and a half ago. You reached out to me on Instagram. I already opened the package, but you sent me a picture of this card. Are you going to enlarge me, or are we going here? Let's do this.
I think what we'll do. Is we'll just put it in the light box.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes, Tark.
Yeah, so you sent me a picture of this card, and I'm like, as soon as I saw it was a 10 of 10, I knew I had to have it.
Yeah.
And I asked you how much you wanted for it, and you hit me with the $50, and I was like, that's exactly what the price I want. That was I was like, you just knew, and I'm like, right. Sold. And then that's a lesson to be learned, I think, from sellers, is to get to know your buyers. And I'm guessing once you got that card, you kind of had me in mind for
100%.
Yeah. So I think that's just that's an easy way to make sales.
Sure.
And
sure. I mean,
I honestly feel
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
When we were on last time and you guys talked about you mentioned how, your two main PCs were Teddy Bridgewater and then Fran Tarkenton. So, right there, it's just obviously being the Skull Brothers here, anything Vikings, I think of you guys. And it's, it's not so much like, hey, we got this, this fish on the line. It's more that I know that you love Tarkenton, you PC him. And as a Tom Brady collector, I'd like to think some of my friends, some of the people I've met in the hobby, they would reach out to me as well and say, hey, I got this card for your collection. In that specific scenario, I was doing consignment for a friend who ripped a bunch of stuff and didn't want to sell it. And right away, before I even listed on eBay or our website, I wanted to reach out to you directly and say, hey, I got this great Fran Tarkenton for your collection. What do you think? And like I said, it was a perfect price. Looking at comps, a little bit of a discount because we got a relationship. But yeah, I mean, knowing your friends, other collectors, people you sold to before in the hobby definitely helps to make some sales.
Yeah. I think that's a lesson that all sellers could, guys just list things and
right.
and they don't create those personal relationships with people, and personal relationships mean so much. I think, especially to us old schoolers, I know people that'll go in and to the smaller hardware store and spend more money on their tools than go to the Lowe's or the Home Depot, just because they like that interaction with that guy that they've been dealing with for 30 years, so. But from there, I actually checked out your website too, cardczar.
Yep.
You sent me some swag, so we'll show off some of that stuff. Sent me a ton of stickers. I love that.
Can't go wrong with stickers.
No, heck no. Can't go wrong with swag, man. And from there, and this is something I think we discussed a little bit in our IG chat, and it's always something whenever you check out a new site is learning how to navigate it. But I did find a couple cards on there, and this is a lesson to be learned by, I think, as a buyer too. You gave me a great deal on that Tarkenton card, and I spent a little bit more on that card than I thought I could get it for on eBay. But I'm like, you threw me a bone, I'm gonna throw you a bone, and
appreciate that. Yeah,
and then I also picked up a Josh Rosen optic card, which was red hot a week ago. And now I think I actually missed out on a few Rosens yesterday that I could have like that peak when it was done in a week.
Oh yeah. It was 49ers, absolutely.
Yeah, his cards were going for a lot more last week, and this week they went back down into underneath my ceiling again.
Sure. So. I still think Rosen has an opportunity to be a good player. I mean, has there ever been a player in the NFL that you can think of that's had a worse bout of luck than Josh Rosen? First, he went to Arizona with no offensive line. Then they get number 1 overall pick. Bring in Kyler Murray because that's who Cliff Kingsbury wanted, the new head coach. Gets shipped to Miami. Again, never has had a chance to really turn into a true, NFL quarterback.
They traded away the whole roster as soon as they traded for Rosen, and then they traded away all the good players. They traded
his top lineman. They traded his running back in Kenyon Drake. So, and then obviously they brought in Tua. So I just think that with Rosen, I actually really thought my Patriots should have gone after him, but because I think that he was in the AFC East team, I don't think the Dolphins wanted to trade them to Belichick. But then I was surprised that he went unclaimed and eventually signed with Tampa Bay's practice squad, and then obviously went to the 49ers. But I still think there's a lot of opportunity for Rosen. I mean, let's be honest, he's been in the league for 3 years. It's not like he's damaged goods. Well, he is damaged goods, but it's not like he's, doesn't have any sort of potential in the NFL anymore. The guy has elite arm talent. It's just, they talked about it with Fitz and Tua. Last week they took Tua out and had Fitz close the game because Fitz is a better NFL quarterback than Tua is right now, and he can get you a win. Rosen has never had that opportunity to become a great NFL quarterback, and I don't know if he ever will be or if he'll even get the opportunity, but I still think he's a good buy. He's a great buy low right now because he's dirt cheap.
Oh, that's the only reason I'm buying him is because it's like the thing is like I could have went and listed all my Josh Rosen cards that I've been piling up a week ago and like tripled my money on them, but I'm like waiting for a bigger payday. Honestly, too, because I've been
not selling any cards.
Because I've been investing in it. Because I've been investing in them so much, just kind of turned into a PC player for me.
There you go.
I'm waiting for that big if his cards start turning into Lamar Jackson and Pat Mahomes cards, then obviously I'm gonna start making some mortgage payments off of his.
You might be dreaming there, buddy. But again, when you're into it, it's actually a funny story. I was into a couple Jonathan Taylor Prism rookie cards today. Listed them on eBay this morning. I bought him for a couple bucks, sold him for $10. I bought his light blue Prism for $5, sold it for $40 today. He had a huge game, and it sold. And it's one of those things where I could have held it for a little bit longer, and he might have gotten even better. If the Colts made the playoffs, which they didn't because the Titans ended up winning the game, those cards could turn into $20 cards instead of $2 cards. But when you're into it for nothing, it's you don't have to sell them for top dollar. Is it always nice to sell for top dollar? Absolutely. But if you can get a 500% return on it, then it's tough to say no, because then that $8 profit that I got for that one card, I know I can reinvest that into something else and then turn that into another $20 of profit, $30. And so it's just, a lot of people, especially when it comes to grading, a lot of people say, well, if you don't get cards graded, you're leaving money on the table. It's like, I don't know. You're waiting 6 months for, $300 profit as opposed to $100 profit. What could you have done with those $100 over 6 months, right? So
right.
If you kept it raw. So I don't know. I mean, hey, different strokes for different folks. I mean, people like to sell a certain way. For me, the website, really, I started cardczar.com along with my buddy Adam as an outlet because I love sports cards. I love the hobby. I love talking about sports cards. I love trading, buying, selling, all of that. I love collecting the random stuff. I mean, I posted I don't have it with me, but I posted a Justin Blackmon and Trent Richardson Contenders rookie ticket auto that on Instagram that I thought these cards were really cool because I really liked them 8 years ago. It's stuff like that where, I mean, even this one right here, I picked this up, Tiger Woods rookie because, he's starting to come around. He's in the news more. I just thought it was, because his son's playing well, I just thought it was really cool to get something like this and add it to my collection. And that's why I started cardczar.com, really for a way for people to, if you're a Vikings fan, just go in and type Vikings, and all of a sudden 300 cards anywhere from 25 cents to $50 pop up. And it could be a player that you love, or a player you want to invest in, or a player that your friend likes and you want to trade them. I think it's just a little bit of a cheaper avenue than eBay, less headaches. And we also want to be a resource for the hobby as well. If you go to, like, we've been listing some of the newer sets, like 2020 Prism. We talk about all the different parallels for Prism football. I mean, there's like 20 plus. Where can you find the light blue? Where can you find the snakeskin? Is a snakeskin, like, for example, the red retail parallel, that's got a print run of like less than 20, but people don't know that because it's not printed on it. It's not a sexy card by any stretch of the imagination, but I sold a Troy Polamalu for $25 today, and because I marketed it as an SSP with a print run of 20 or less. If you don't know about that and you come across it, or maybe you come across it at your store where they're selling it for a couple of bucks, you're like, oh, I remember reading that. Then I'm hoping that's what's going to help the community, and that's a big reason why I want to do it.
Sure. Yeah.
I know somebody. I'm trying to think what card. I want a Stephon Diggs 1-of-1 Gold Spectra rookie card from this guy.
Yep.
It's a few months ago, and then I click into his store to see what else he had, and he had a PSA 10 blue Prism Stephon Diggs, which are considered a print run of 5. Yeah, listed for $30, PSA 10 of it. And I added that to my card too. I'm like, those short print Prism cards, they don't have to even be graded to go for $30.
Sure,
like,
yeah. And you get it at 10. That's a $300 card at that point.
Yeah, I joked with Kevin. I go, this card might be a $1,000 card.
Maybe. I mean, the way that Stephon Diggs is playing right now, absolutely. And I just think that it's again, knowing the hobby. I mean, I've been doing this since I remember getting my first pack of cards when I was 6. I got a pro set, whatever year it was, 91 or 92, from my uncle. And obviously, as a kid, I remember actually even telling my dad, "Hey, Dad, as a 10-year-old, can you rent out that little storefront? I want to open up my card store there." He goes, "You got to go to school." But no, now this is an opportunity for me to have my own card store, and also work with other dealers, collectors, others in the hobby to collaborate with them. We're going to start doing a lot more like features of collectors and enthusiasts. Local card stores we're going to do features on as well to help them, because we have a bit of a background with graphic or with website building and SEO, search engine optimization. So we think it's a win-win. If you're Googling Anderson cards and memorabilia in Manchester, we're going to pop up at So Will They, because we have a big website with a lot of pages on it with over 16,000 different items for sale. So unique cards, over 16,000, most of them football. We've added a bunch of basketball recently, and baseball. We'll see. I'm not a huge baseball collector, and it's one of those things too where I need to be passionate about it in order to put the hard work into it.
Right.
So when it comes to football cards, I mean, that's just my. If I could show you guys a tour of my basement, my wife, she doesn't come down here solely because of all the cardboard just strewn about, and whatever. It's fun. Keeps it's better than going out to the bar and spending $50 on beers, right?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you from exactly?
New Hampshire. So southern New Hampshire, about 45 minutes north of Boston.
Okay, so is that kind of blasphemous saying you're not a Red Sox fan then, or?
No, I'm a Red Sox. I am a Red Sox fan. I am under protest with the Red Sox because of the Mookie Betts trade. I've been saying that since day one. That was the stupidest move they've made since trading Babe Ruth or selling Babe Ruth. I think that, since when are the Red Sox a small market team where they can't pay their stars? For me, it's just baseball is just – I kind of fell out of love with the sport. When it comes to collecting, I just can't really – I don't know. I can't get jazzed up about it. I think the reason why I love collecting football cards so much is because I'm an avid fantasy football player. Some of my favorite parts of my collection or the way I like to collect are by adding guys that I – have had in fantasy. So, like, for example, I saw an Alan Lazard Green Bay Packers autograph. I thought that was really cool because I had him on my fantasy team this year, and he got hurt. But before he got hurt, he was a stud. Guys who I've won championships with, are like, for example, Deontay Johnson, who I'm a big fan of as well. He was one of the guys where this year I was looking at him hard in drafts because I thought he was going to have a great year, and he did. And because of that, I won a bunch of fantasy games because of him. So I like to add those kind of cards to my collection. Used to podcast about fantasy football with my buddies out in Ohio. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's my favorite sport. I'm a diehard Patriots fan, but as I was telling you guys, it's actually a lot of fun this year being able to focus on my friends' teams. Every time Justin Jefferson scored a touchdown, I did think of you guys because obviously the Skull Bros, and I had him on a couple of my dynasty leagues. One of my best friends at SP the Titan, who does a lot of the Czar talk with me on our YouTube channel, obviously a diehard Titans fan, and we both love Derrick Henry and AJ Brown. So talking to him every day, like I was actually texting him today when Derrick Henry hit over 2,000 yards rushing. AJ Brown, I got him into buying a couple of the impeccable helmet patch autos before AJ Brown blew up, as well as the Prism RPA, which was a case hit. So he got that for dirt cheap before AJ Brown turned to a star. Now he's quadrupled his money, and he absolutely loves it. And he's fallen hook, line, and sinker into the hobby. And that's the kind of stuff, like I've reconnected with a lot of friends, especially during COVID, where friends just had nothing else to do. They're looking for a hobby, and we talked, said, hey, let's get into sports cards. And they followed our website, followed our Instagram account. I gave them, some basics. And then like with SP, it's one of those things too, where I'll just pick up some cheap Titans cards. This is one of his favorite players, Bruce Matthews. I got this in my LCS. I saw this, I was like, I got to get it for him. And so we'd make trades. Darrington Evans, light blue rookie. Yep. Then of course the King. This is one of my favorite looking cards, the cracked dice Prism. Yeah. So I bought a ton of Prism for our website, which we just released a bunch of 2020 Prism on cardczar.com, and I set aside the Titans and of course the Oilers too. He's a Warren Moon fan as well, so it's fun. It just reconnects me and my friends, and even actually, really funny story, real quick. A guy I went to high school with, who I haven't talked to in years, reached out to me, and his 8-year-old son was getting into cards, and he's like, I looked at your website, and he goes, he's like, I bought his whole fantasy team, based on the guys on his team out of your store, and it was great reconnect, because I literally played football with this kid when we were the same age as his son is now, so it's just a cool dynamic, 25 years later. I'm reconnecting with a kid that I hadn't talked to in forever. We met up, shared some laughs about the good old days of playing Pop Warner football, and I was happy to, hook his son up with a ton of extra cards, of course, because again, I'm all about really just growing the hobby, kids getting into the hobby, and that's what I love about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So we touched base a little bit about your YouTube and Instagram, but why don't you, I think you said you're going to be getting into some breaks and stuff pretty soon, too?
Yeah, so I never saw myself as a breaker at all. I'm not a breaker. There's a lot to breaking, and I have a full-time job, and breaking really is a full-time job. But what I do love to do is ripping packs, and I love even more not having to spend the money to rip the packs, right?
Right.
So I've had a few friends who've reached out to me again and said that they want to, how do I get cards? And I told them, it's not very easy right now. So we work with the distributors, and we have an account. So, I plan on just buying some boxes and starting, we're going to start a whole little branding called Czartube, which is just going to be branding our breaks, our YouTube content. I mentioned we do Czar Chat, SP the Titan and I, which is basically us just chatting about cards, different topics. We'll probably talk about and preview the upcoming NFL playoffs. I have a couple bigger names in the hobby that are going to be coming on to our YouTube channel, interviewing them and just talking about their journey, how they went from being, collectors or being sellers and turned it into a brick and mortar or turn that into an online breaking service. And just kind of, again, just shooting the poop, I guess, if you want to call it, like we're doing right now.
For sure.
Networking, having fun with it, just turning this into, because it's not just flipping cards, but again, it's really educating a lot of the newer people into the hobby about sports cards, because there's a lot to learn about it. It's not as simple as, rip a pack and make your money back, right? That's just so sure. That's what we want to talk about.
Awesome. I remember from our last interview you saying that I can't remember how many Tom Brady's you said you had.
Yep.
How
I'm
many
up to 1,306 now, different Tom Brady cards.
Okay, so what do you feel? What are your feelings on him with the Buccaneers? Are you rooting for the Buccaneers too?
Yeah. I mean, again, like I mentioned, a lot of my friends today were saying, because Tom Brady had 4 touchdowns. I think he's had the last 8 quarters, he's thrown for more yards than anybody else in NFL history over 8 quarters. What people to realize is he wasn't going to do that in New England. It just wasn't going to happen. The team around Cam Newton wasn't that bad this year. His team was so bad. I mean, N'Keal Harry isn't good. Elliman was 34, had a bad knee. The defense wasn't great because they lost Hightower and Chung due to opt-outs. So there really wasn't a lot around him, and Brady wasn't going to be putting up stud numbers. I honestly think, the Pats finished at 7-9. I bet you they'd be lucky to go 9-7 if Tom Brady stayed. They had no tight end help. I'm just so frustrated with N'Keal Harry. I don't know what his deal is, but I'm rooting for Tom Brady. I mean, he's the GOAT right there. Where is it? Here he is. He's the GOAT. I mean, you can't go wrong with Tom. And I hope nothing for the best for him. I wish he would have retired. I would have loved to see him. It's still so weird. I'm not as gung-ho about getting him in his cards in a Bucks uni, but I'll still get him if I come across him. But I won't spend that extra few bucks. And it's still really, really weird to see him in a Buccaneers uniform. But, again, it is what it is. I mean, we were lucky to have him on our team for 20 years, and he's probably got another year after this, maybe 2. I mean, he's playing great. He looks really, really good. So I'm cheering for the Bucks, cheering for the Titans. I'm cheering for the Browns. I went to school in Cleveland. So I'm just enjoying. Today was so stress-free. I had no fantasy football to worry about. I wasn't trying to get in the playoffs. It was so stress-free. Kind of nice, huh? It was great. It was great. And even you guys, I love the Vikings. I've always had a soft spot for them. I started last time with a skull. You did. I love stories. I love the sport of football. I love Adam Thielen. I think Kirk Cousins is underrated too. I mean, I just, we could talk for hours about my love for football and why why I've enjoyed actually for once not having being stressed out about the Patriots.
It was kind of weird watching today's game because there's this part of me that's like, well, we could get a better draft pick if we lose. Right. I also don't want to lose to the Lions because that's really bad. And it's really fun watching football when there's nothing on the line, And obviously I wanted the Vikings to win, and they won. And mostly I was rooting. The biggest thing I was rooting for was Justin Jefferson to set the yardage record.
Unreal. What? Okay, so my question for you guys, seeing what because I know a couple Bills fans who are just like, oh, we won that trade, Stephon Diggs for the pick that you took Justin Jefferson. But as Vikings fans, I think you'd rather have Justin Jefferson on a rookie contract as opposed to paying. Definitely. Oh, I mean it's a win-win. It's a win-win, but I think ultimately for the Vikings, you guys are thrilled for that trade.
Oh, definitely. I think we also got another draft pick on top of that, too.
Did you? Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure.
I think we got a first and a fourth, maybe.
Oh,
I think, we definitely won. Well, it depends on what we get with that fourth. Oh,
even now, the Vikings and the Bills are in two different. I mean, the Bills needed a true go-to guy, whereas I think the Vikings knew they're probably a year or two away from really, especially with that defense struggling this year. They're a few years away from contention. The Bills, they're trying to win now, and they very well could. They got a good little team, but I was shocked that Justin Jefferson did as well as he did this year. I mean, because if you think about it, he really didn't play that much the first 2 games. And I knew he was great in the slot at LSU, but I never thought he'd really turn into a true bona fide number 1 wide receiver. And Thielen had a great year too. Irv Smith Jr. looked really good for you guys this year as well as the tight end. I think he's overtaken Kyle Rudolph, but yeah, I mean, I got Jefferson in a couple dynasty leagues, which I'm thrilled about because I didn't expect him to be my number 1 wide receiver, and he will be for the foreseeable future. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, in our dynasty league, he's a trump card for us. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So I think we're going to segue into some different questions now. If you're good with that,
absolutely.
I know that we touched base on the other stuff. So yeah. So in all your spare time, do you have any other hobbies?
Being a father, running a business. I do like playing. Big Call of Duty Warzone guy. I've been getting into that big time. I bought Cyberpunk 2077 for the Xbox One Xbox One, and I can't get into that game unfortunately. But I like to play video games, just kind of relax. With cards, after spending 2-3 hours a night organizing or uploading to the website or shipping cards, just after a while it gets very monotonous. So I just like to kind of go shoot people. When I'm not at home, I like to work out a lot. Big into health and fitness, and also to counteract that, I do like drinking beer as well. So I'm doing a sober January. I mean, it's January 3rd, and I've made it so far. Right. But being in the New England area, there's so many great beers around here. In my house alone in southern New Hampshire, in Manchester, New Hampshire, there are, I think, 6 breweries within 5 miles of me, and they're all great. They're all great for their own reasons. And then my friends and I will actually drive up to Burlington, Vermont, because they just have some phenomenal IPAs up there. I love going up there during the summer when there's no COVID around, and rent an Airbnb, go down on Church Street right by University of Vermont, get great food, great farm-to-table food, and then just the most phenomenal IPAs in the world. So those are, other than hanging out with the family, of course, and, barbecue and all that, getting away from the house, going out for drinks a little bit here and there, and playing video games. That's really all I do other than cards.
I didn't hear Madden. Do you play
No,
Madden?
you know what? I used to love Madden, and then I don't know, it just got very mundane. What my friend and I used to do, I think the reason why was because when I lived in Boston, when I was going to grad school, I lived with a buddy, and we used to draft our fantasy teams to our Madden franchises. And every year we'd stay in the same divisions. We play each other twice. And that was really fun. But then when I moved out of living with him, I don't know, Madden wasn't the same. I feel like it's never gotten better. And I tried playing online. I didn't love online. I tried playing the season. And what really killed me was when they got rid of when they totally changed up the franchise mode. I loved the franchise mode growing up. I always loved being the GM, making your own team. But then the past few years, I think it's been kind of blah. I think the last one I bought was when Brady was on it, just to have the one with Tom Brady on it.
Oh, sure.
Brady that I am. Other than that,
my kid actually told me that there's from the 2005 to 2020 Maddens, I think he said there's 48 different options that they've gotten rid of as far as franchise mode goes. He goes, the game was so much better 15 years ago than it is now. He still buys it every single year and then complains about how bad it is.
That's what I did too up until about 3 years ago. Then I was like, all right, I'd rather spend my money on cards. It just so happened to be that when I made that decision, I got back into the hobby. So I was like, maybe that's the, who knows? But no, I mean, I remember Madden 2000 with Marshall Faulk on the cover when PS2 first came out. Franchise mode was the best. It was so simple. You could do your fantasy draft. You could, you could play the games you wanted to or not play the games. And they totally switched it up to this. I don't even know what the new format is, but it's you start at the bottom rung and then you move up eventually. I don't know. It's not for me, unfortunately.
Sure. Okay, so the next one was what is in your Netflix queue or Hulu queue or whatever? What are you watching?
Yeah, so right now my wife and I are watching the show The Wilds on Amazon Prime, which is kind of cool. It's a mix of Lord of the Flies meets Lost meets Truman Show. A bunch of girls getting a plane accident and show up on an abandoned island. Really cool. One season so far. I've enjoyed that. What else have I been watching? Good question. I just finished up. Can't think of it. But what have I been watching? Good question. Obviously, The Office. I mean, The Office is one of the go-tos. That unfortunately is Yellowstone. Now that's a phenomenal show. So I've been getting to Yellowstone. I watched. My dad was big into it. It's based in Montana, about a ranch. It's basically like Cowboy Mafia. It's awesome. Highly suggest it.
That's Costner in that, right?
Yeah, no, yes, Kevin Costner, it's 3 seasons. It's your typical cowboy, it's really good. Highly suggested. I really enjoyed that. And Euphoria on HBO Max was really good too. That was an interesting TV show I just finished watching about like high school drugs, drama, sex, all that good stuff. So
I feel like you're about to say Netflix just lost The Office.
Netflix, well, The Office moved to Peacock streaming. So unfortunately, I have Peacock, fortunately, but I've seen every episode of The Office at least like 5 times. So
yeah, I was actually that's my go-to show because it's just like a comfortable pair of shoes, and it can just be playing on my TV while I'm doing stuff.
Except for when it's not comfortable, when it's very uncomfortable, like the Scott's Tots episode, which is one of the most cringeworthy TV episodes. But it's so well done. It's so well done.
I feel like every single time that I reboot it and start all over at episode 1, the early episodes are always like you grow comfortable with them, and then you feel like once you go back to episode 1, you'll be comfortable with it. But I feel it's more cringy from the beginning, and like Michael definitely evolves into a less cringy character as. Oh,
absolutely, he does. Have you ever watched the British version of The Office?
I tried starting that one time. I got through about 3 episodes, and I'm like,
it's tough. It's tough because of the accents, everything's so fast, but it's so well done. If you turn on the subtitles, it's very well done. And if you know some of the British humor, but I watched that, and it's funny, if you actually watch the pilot episode of the British Office, it's actually the same exact thing as a pilot episode of the US Office, which I thought was really interesting. But
they say that what's his name? Oh gosh, I can't think of the guy.
Ricky Gervais?
Yeah, they say that he's got a great comedy mind, but he doesn't know how to execute it as well as others do. He's a great writer, but he's not a great actor.
I'd agree with that. I mean, he's pretty good. He played the David Brent character, which was Michael's character, and he played that really, really well because he's a little bit different than Michael. He's a lot more cocky, whereas Michael's actually very insecure. But David Brent just thinks he's like the next hit musician. He thinks he's the greatest boss ever. He thinks he's the best salesman ever. Whereas Michael just wants friends. It's like the classic line. He goes, "Oh, an inside joke. I hope to be part of one someday." I mean, that just cracks me up. Or I want to have kids, so I will be surrounded by friends for the first time ever, or something like that.
Yeah, that one is pretty cringy when he's
it's like, oh,
when he's doesn't he see that when he's a little kid on that show?
Yes, exactly. It's just like what? Absolutely.
All right. The final one, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. But you can do 2 or 3 of your favorite takeout places that your kind of go-to places for takeout food. If you do
Number one's Chipotle. I mean, that's just the best. Their food's phenomenal. It's somewhat healthy for you. And then I'd say number 2, a little bit different vein, would be Backyard Brewery, which is a brewery down the road from me. Again, I told you we have a million great beer places here. This is in Manchester, New Hampshire. This place has the best beer, I'd say, and also some pretty damn good pub food. So I'd say those 2. Other than that, my wife and I will go to actually another place too. I love Bertucci's. Bertucci's pizza is phenomenal. So there we go.
There you go.
Chipotle, Backyard Brewery, and Bertucci's. Take it to the bank.
So how about you take a minute and just tell people where to find you, and then we'll wrap things up.
Absolutely. So cardczar is our Instagram handle at CARDSCZAR. There we go, right there. We're on eBay as well, and then our website, www.cardczar.com. Come check us out. We got everything from 25-cent singles all the way up to $50, $100, $200, $300 cards. Have a nice Justin Herbert, Rookies and Stars autograph up there right now. Tua Tagovailoa, Rookies and Stars Dress for Success as well. Just added a bunch of 2020 Prism to the website. Have 2020 Mosaic Football. Always adding stuff, and we just recently released some basketball cards as well too. So, as I mentioned, we're going to be a resource for the hobby. Blog posts, videos, our YouTube channel is, just search cardczar and you'll find us. And we're going to keep it going. I mean, we have a lot of ideas. We want to get a lot of people onto our YouTube channel. Hopefully you guys can join us as well on Czar Chat. And just, again, just chat about cards, chat about the hobby that we love.
Sounds like a plan, man. Well, we appreciate you coming on. If you hold on for 1 second, we'll chat for a minute offline. That'll bring episode 170 with Luke at cardczar to a close.
Skol Brothers out.